Under the dim glow of the city lights, the towering glass building of Halverson Industries stood like a fortress against the midnight sky. Its offices were empty, its conference rooms silent, but one figure moved quietly through the echoing halls. The janitor, Miguel Santos, pushed his cleaning cart with the practiced rhythm of a man who had walked these halls for years, unseen by the powerful executives who ruled them by day. Miguel was a widower in his early 50s. His hair peppered with grey, his shoulders stooped not just from years of labor but from the weight of unspoken stories. He had crossed oceans for a better life for his daughter, Isabella, and though he worked nights to keep her in school, he never let the exhaustion show when he was with her. To him, she was the proof that his sacrifices meant something. That night, the silence in the building felt different, thick, charged, as though the walls themselves were holding their breath. Miguel's keyring jingled softly as he moved from office to office, emptying bins and wiping desks. But when he reached the CEO's office, he paused. He had always respected boundaries. The CEO, Catherine Halverson, was a figure both admired and feared. She had built the company into a giant, her reputation polished in glossy magazines, her face often lit by the flash of cameras. But Miguel, who had seen her offices after the lights dimmed, sensed a loneliness hidden beneath all the steel and glass. He inserted the master key into the door, as usual, to do his routine cleaning. But something drew him closer to the heavy mahogany desk in the center of the office. The bottom drawer, sleek with a hidden lock, caught his eye. For years, he had noticed how Catherine would linger at that drawer, locking it with care before leaving. That night, almost without thinking, his hand reached for the keychain again. He stood there, wrestling with his conscience. Curiosity was not in his nature, survival was. But something urged him forward, some instinct that whispered this night was different. Slowly, the key clicked. The drawer slid open. Inside was a thick file, its cover marked only with a simple label, Project Eden. Miguel's fingers trembled as he lifted it. The papers inside were dense, filled with legal jargon, financial statements, and government seals. But what caught his breath was a single line repeated across memos: clearance, confidential. Risks include exposure of illegal offshore accounts, displacement of thousands, and reputational collapse. Miguel froze. His English wasn't perfect, but the words were clear enough. This wasn't just corporate paperwork. This was evidence, here dangerous, world-shaking evidence. He swallowed hard, imagining the consequences. Catherine Halverson wasn't just a CEO, she was the face of a company whose reach extended into hospitals, schools, and housing projects across the country. If this file was real, it meant her empire was built on something rotten. At that moment, the office door clicked again. Miguel's heart thudded. Catherine herself stepped in, her heels clicking softly against the floor. She wasn't supposed to be there. Her eyes narrowed when she saw him standing behind her desk, the file in his hands. For a long moment, silence stretched between them. Her lips parted, but before she could speak, Miguel whispered, voice low and heavy with meaning, "This file could end you." The words hung in the air like smoke. Catherine's face hardened, but beneath her steel-gray eyes, something flickered of fear, maybe, or regret. She closed the door behind her, leaning against it as though she had been carrying a weight too heavy for too long. "You weren't supposed to see that," she said finally, her voice sharp but trembling at the edges. Miguel didn't move. "I clean. I don't spy." "But there's a broken bar." He tapped the file with his calloused fingers. "A broken bar. This is dangerous." Catherine crossed the room, her heels no longer sharp but heavy, each step dragging as though she were walking toward judgment. She sat on the edge of her desk, her eyes not leaving his. "Do you know what's in there?" "I know enough," Miguel said softly. "Enough to know people will suffer. Enough to know it's wrong." Her face softened for just a second, and in that moment Miguel saw not the CEO the world worshipped, but a woman torn apart by the weight of her choices. "You think I wanted this?" she whispered, her voice breaking for the first time. "Do you have any idea what it's like at this level? Every move, every decision to its survival. If I don't protect this company, thousands of jobs vanish. Families collapse. I've made compromises I swore I never would. Miguel listened, his chest tightening. He thought of Isabella, asleep at home, dreaming of the future he worked so hard to give her. He thought of the factory workers he had met when Halverson Industries had shut down their local plant, leaving fathers and mothers scrambling for work. You protect the company, he said slowly. But who protects the people? The question pierced her. Catherine dropped her gaze, her carefully constructed armor cracking. She buried her face in her hands for a moment, then exhaled a long, shuddering breath. For the first time in years, Miguel saw someone who wasn't untouchable. She was human, fragile, and caught in a web of her own making. He placed the file back into the drawer, sliding it shut. You still have a choice, he said. You can burn this, pretend it never existed, or you can use it to fix what's broken. But hiding a broken bar? He shook his head. Hiding destroys. Catherine stared at him, her eyes glistening. Why are you telling me this? You could walk out right now and end me with a single phone call. Miguel sighed, his shoulders slumping under the weight of his own truth. Because ending you won't help the people who depend on you. But if you end the lies yourself a broken bar, maybe it will. The room was silent again, except for the faint hum of the city below. Catherine sat there, grappling with the enormity of what had just been placed in her hands, and not by a rival, not by the press, but by a janitor who asked for nothing in return. Miguel began to gather his cart, preparing to leave. But as he turned to the door, Catherine's voice stopped him. Wait. He looked back. I don't know why you chose kindness, she said, her voice steadier now. But I promise you, Miguel, a broken bar, I won't waste it. And for the first time in years, Catherine Halverson felt the faintest spark of hope. Hope born not from power, but from humanity. What neither of them knew then was how this single midnight encounter would ripple outward into boardrooms, into neighborhoods, into families they would never meet. The janitor's whispered warning had cracked the armor of a CEO, and from that crack, light was beginning to seep through.